Welcome, students and parents, to Empower. Empower is a learning management system, which means this is the software where you'll find student grades. You can see what's being worked on, find out if the student is on pace or not, and even monitor progress toward graduation. So we're going to look at a lot of cool things together here. When we first log in, students and guardians are going to see the same thing. The only difference here is that a parent is going to have this toggle right here where I can switch between my different students who are in Empower. So when I pick a student, I get to see what they see. I see the classes down below. And the first thing that'll probably draw my eye is pace. Pace is really important because Empower doesn't exactly give overall averaged grades in the way that you might be used to. Instead, what Empower does is it wants to know that a student has actually mastered the content in every class. So look at math there. It says that there are 0 out of 14 things at or above 3.0. 3.0 is the score that you're going for at a lot of schools that use Empower. Your school may be a little different. You might have letters like a P for proficient. Basically, the idea here is that there are 14 things being taught, 14 standards. In fact, if we click on this, we get to see them. And each of these things, we want to reach a level of proficient. In this system, 3.0. So we can see that this student is beginning to grow in their learning in some places. So on performing operations with numbers expressed in scientific notation, they've got a 2. That's not bad at all. All that means is they're in the process of learning. Some of these don't have any scores yet. And there are 14 of these things being covered in this class. If I wanted to see some of the work that had been done, I could pop in here, and anytime we do some homework or activities or take a quiz, those things are going to be aligned to the standard that they're aiming at, that they're covering. So this becomes like a portfolio. This is the evidence that I know this material. So backing out of this, we were talking about pace. Let's open up science here and take a closer look. So in this class, there are 13 standards being covered. And you see these little meters over here, course pace. Well, the blue one is achieved growth. That is how much of the knowledge that I need to have or demonstrate for this class have I achieved. When I get those scores, when I go from a level 1 to a 1.5 to a 2, this meter fills in little by little. And to fill it all in, you need to become proficient or get to level 3.0 in this case at all 13 of these things. Then that bar will be full. The left bar grows steadily over time over the course of the class. So if I can keep ahead of that bar, that helps me to know that I'm on pace to master all of this material in the time that I have for this class. So how do I progress? Well, that's where we come to our next up section right here. These are the activities that my teacher has assigned to me. So teachers will take all of this learning, the things that we need to learn in this class, and they will build playlists. Right here, if we click Playlist Browser, we are going to unfold this. And I can see a couple different playlists. These are units of learning. So my teachers made me here a gravity playlist. And I can see the different activities. These might be videos to watch. They might be me working on a project with my friends. There's all kinds of things that teachers can deliver here to help students understand and practice the material in the class. These are all aligned to the standards. So the teacher's going to look at the work and record that a student demonstrated that they knew this material by doing a great job on these activities and tasks. So in the next up section here, Empower looks at what we know and what we've already done in the playlists, and it recommends to us the next thing in order to do. So if I'm unsure what the homework is supposed to be, I come and look here. There might even be things my teacher has pinned for me to say, hey, special attention on this. I want this to appear at the top of the feed. But otherwise, these things are recommending to me the next steps for things I can do, maybe if I'm behind pace and I need to pick it up a little bit. The next box that we see there are class activities. These are things that might have been posted by the teacher that aren't in the sequence of a playlist. So they get their own little space here. They may stand alone, but I'll find them here. Missing activities is pretty self-explanatory. If my teacher didn't get something turned in that they expected, they will mark that with an M in their grade book, and that will appear here, and me and my parents will get an alert and that there's some missing work. Now, I said a moment ago that we would get an alert in this class. Well, this is where alerts happen, in the class log. If I click in here, I get to see maybe new messages that were posted, in discussions that I'm in, new scores, new alerts, like the missing alert I was just talking about would be here. And if I wanted more info, I could click View All. And Empower's gonna load me up a great page here where I can see all my old activities, the scores, the dates. I could filter through this, and I could explore the work that's been done in this class. Let's jump into one of these activities and take a look. On the first tab, the Goals tab, I'm going to see a description from my teacher, an introduction. I'm going to see any of the standards that this activity is aligned to. So here we see one, but it's possible that we might see two or more. And what this means is I'm going to get separate scores. I'm going to get a score. My teacher's going to look at the work I do and say, how did they do on this? And then how did they do on this second thing? And so a student may do really well with one of the skills and need some more help in another. And by giving out different scores, we can really laser in on what that is. But as a student, I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, okay, I need to demonstrate these two things. Maybe when I write my essay, when I turn in my work, I want to make sure that I cover these two bases because this is what's being looked for. Next, we'll move on to the Action tab, keeping those requirements in mind. And here the teacher gives us some instructions about what they want us to do. That's step one. Having done that, we might move on to step two and onward. And if the teacher along the way gives us anything that they want us to create or turn in, we've got a workspace below for that, whether we're uploading files maybe of a video we recorded, if we want to write a response right here in Empower, or if we want to load things up from other softwares that we've saved anywhere on the internet, even from our Google Drive. If we've created Google Docs, we could access that here and give our teacher access. Anything that we make and save in this workspace area, we will find over in our lockers. And here we might click on something and reopen it so we can continue working on it. Maybe it's still a draft, it's a work in progress. But once we feel ready, we click this button and turn it in. Once I've turned it in, my teacher gets an alert on their side where they're going to be able to look at what I've turned in and give me a score. If along the way or at any point I have questions, I can go to the Feedback tab, and here I can ask my teacher questions. They can respond. This is a private conversation between the student and the teacher. Of course, the parents can access it just by finding it here, but no other students or anything is in here. This is a time just for the teacher and the student to talk about this particular activity. Next, I want to look at the target browser, which we'll find right here. The target browser is a visual representation of all the learning, all the standards at my school. So here I've pulled up science, but my district may have lots of other content areas like math, language arts, and other things. Yours will probably be different than this site's. And I can see by the color coding that some of these are supposed to be achieved in grade 1, some in grade 2, grade 3, etc. Again, different sites are going to look different. But let's say I'm a 7th grader and I don't really need to see everything. Well, I can turn these on and off. So I've turned them all off. I can just turn on the 7th grade stuff. Maybe I'm a little cruising ahead. I want to see what's coming up next in 8th grade. And I can also see here my scores on all these standards. Well, what standard is this? There's a code there. Sometimes districts might use titles, but if I mouse over this, I get a little bit more information. Lastly, let's look briefly at the My Graduation tab. Sometimes this is labeled as My Learning. What these tiles represent are courses. So here along the left, we can see content areas like history, English, math. I have 10 out of 40 credits that I need to graduate. Each of the tiles off to the right is some course. The green ones you can see are ones I've completed. Anything blue here would be something I'm currently enrolled in. And the oranges are courses that I'm following because I have partial credit for them. Maybe I never sat in such a class, but I've learned a few of the things. I've already mastered a few of the standards in that course. So this page, if my school has set it up, gives me an opportunity to monitor my progress on my transcript, my progress toward graduation, and maybe discover the things that I need to do to complete some credits that I need. Hopefully that little tour was helpful, and hopefully this is a really neat place for you to be able to come and learn and monitor your learning. We're excited to see what you're doing here. Have fun.